Have you ever painted while you were asleep? I mean, painted in a dream. You can't actually paint while you're sleeping. Well, I had a dream that I painted my mom's hydrangea bush, and it came from doing my phenology wheels, because each month I've been painting something every day from nature around me that I see on my walks. And for the month of July, it was tracking how my mom's hydrangea bush that she gave me had flowered out, how it came from little buds to full flowers. And I woke up in the morning and painted it after having dreamt it. And I thought I'd show you the process. Dreams can work. First, a little bit on the supplies and sort of things. I'm going to be using the Bauhung paper. It comes in a block. And I have to say, I'm not super impressed with it. I'll show you one of the big reasons why in just a second. But I've got my paints all ready. And I had gotten up in the morning having dreamt about painting this. And I didn't know whether or not I could do what I did in my dream. But nonetheless, I tried it. Because, you dream about it and you got to give it a try. I'll be using just this one brush. This is one of my new favorite brushes. It's an Escoda Aquario, and it's a Joseph Zvukovic. I can't say his last name. Joseph Z. So we're going to be using this brush and a couple of colors of watercolor. And yes, my little Krabby can hold a brush as well as hold a pen. And I also swapped out a color finally. I realized I was never going to use the last little bit of chromium oxide green that was in there, so I swapped it for Hooker's Green, which leaves me with some different options for greens now. That's Cascade Green, which when watered out will break out into lovely blues and greens and that sort of thing, to some fun granulation. Then we have Sap Green, which is my base mixer for a lot of different projects. And I thought I'd try this Hooker's Green for just a different flavor of green. Usually I mix that by mixing in some Hansa yellow light into something. And I thought it would be interesting to see if I end up using that more often. I don't really know. But when I added a little bit of the Hansa yellow light onto the Hooker's Green, I could make a really nice super light type of green, so yay for that. But here's where the Bauhung paper drives me bananas. You have to cut off all of that excess glue. Their glue is absolutely terrible, and I have ruined several paintings with everything collecting around all that stuff around the outside edges. All right, now let's move on to the painting itself. In the dream that I had, this painting was for my mom. Like somehow I was able to get it to her in heaven. I don't really know how that happens. Strange things happen when you're dreaming. And my mom passed away almost a year ago. Later on in August, it'll be the anniversary of losing her. And so I'm sure that that's in the back of my mind, which is why that dream happened. But also this plant, this hydrangea bush, was a gift from my mom when she came to visit me after I moved into my house. So I always think of her when I see it blooming. And all month long, as I've been working on my hydrangea phenology wheel, I've just been thinking about her even more. So there's that. The painting itself wasn't overly difficult, so I wasn't super worried about it, other than I haven't really painted a hydrangea except for using rubber stamps before. And I wanted to do something that was going to be really loose and feel really fresh, because as I've been doing a lot of other work lately, I'm finding simplifying my work is making me more happy. And if I could pull this off, this would be another step towards just tiptoeing towards simplification. Doesn't mean I'm always going to do simplified things, because I have a lot of complicated ideas in my head. But for some things, I just like to be able to explore a simpler style. So I've put a lot of paint on the paper for a background like this. And then before it dried, I sprayed it so that it would do a little bit more blending before using the heat gun on it to fully dry it. Otherwise, I have different parts that dry at different speeds. And if I can just wet the whole thing one last time, it's not a soaking wetting, it's just a quick spritz. That just starts to bring some of those edges together so you don't end up with weird hard edges all over the place. But you'll see something else happening to the background by the time we're done. I put in a bit of Verditer Blue with a slight bit of Quinacridone Rose in it for the shadow of the flower, and then mixed up some of my brand new Hooker's Green with some of the light Hansa Yellow Light in order to put the base color on the leaves. I'll end up putting a lot more into them as we go on too, but deliberately leaving some white on the lead edge of the leaf in the sunshine, as well as a little bit on the stem of the hydrangea. And here I am again with the Verditer and the Quin Rose. And you'll see what Verditer looks like. Well, you can see it right there. You'll see what it looks like more when I use it in denser color as I start putting in the rest of the flowers or the petals. I'm not sure. They're flowerets. All these little flowers are flowerets on one big flower, right? Isn't that how hydrangeas work? Anyway, I should probably look that up before I started talking. Anyway, this is still wet paper. I haven't dried this so that my edges, when I get to that shadow portion, are going to merge down into the color that's already there. And then I'll just put most of my work for right now in the sunshine area to put all those petals in there, and allowing some of that mixing to happen when I get toward the shadow edge. But I'm waiting for the shadows to dry a little bit more so I can put more crisp shapes in there in some of those spots. But, you know, taking care of all these ones in the sunshine. My hydrangea bush is darker than this. It doesn't have the white that I'm leaving overall, but I really wanted that sunshine to hit. In the morning when I go out and look at my flowers, like, it's not white that you see on the flowers, but it by all rights should be, because it's super bright on the tips of some of them, just the way the sun comes in the morning and hits the flowers. And so I'm using progressively more water so I can get lighter color, and then dipping in the paint to get darker Verditer Blue. Verditer Blue also granulates really beautifully, so I've been enjoying having that in my palette since I added it in there a while back. So here's some of the Verditer Blue going directly into the wet Verditer plus Quin Rose in the shadow flower, because this flower is in the dark. So even though it's in the darkness in the photo that I took of the plant, I decided to put a little sunshine on the edge of it because I thought it would be weird to have just that darkness down there. So now I'm in the portion of the painting where the shadow color has started to dry a little bit. And one of the things I know people are going to be asking is how long this painting took, and it was about 40 minutes. I was surprised at how quickly it went. So it doesn't have to be a huge time investment, and I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to paint it in this format. But, you know, remember, when somebody's more experienced, and I paint all the time, that's just going to result in being able to accomplish things probably more quickly than you might be. So now I'm going to get into the leaves here. There's a big shadow from the flower on the leaf that's in the sunshine. And then I wanted to put the back leaf, there's a leaf that goes off into the other direction, as well as the stem in the dark color. So I've mixed some of that Hooker's Green for this with the leftover mix from the background. And I haven't added any more colors to it because I wanted to make sure I have some consistent colors across the whole thing. That'll bring harmony to it if you're able to use the same colors throughout. So shading it with what's already in the background works. And the background was all Prussian Blue, Paynes Blue Gray, and Hookers. So I'm darkening part of this leaf in the backside with very wet paint since everything else got dried, which allows me to kind of add a little bit of sculptured shading onto it and stuff. And then once that's dry, I could go in with some very thin paint as well to put in some of the veins in the leaves. Now, if you're wondering about, is there a class where you can learn how to make simplified watercolors like this? I do have one. I haven't talked about it in quite a while, but I thought since I was doing a flower like this, it might help you to know about the watercolor bouquets class. In that one, they're bouquets, so they're inside. They don't have necessarily the same kind of thing we've got going on here, but the flower shapes and the brush strokes and that sort of thing are very similar, and you'll get to paint vases and that sort of thing too. So there's a couple clips here that I pulled from the class where, this one is painting a rose as well as the glass bottle, which I thought the glass bottle was way fun. This one does have a big dark background like this and goes into great detail on the glass as well. So if that is something that has been on your bucket list of learning how to paint glass, this one will also help. And then we've got Lilies of the Valley. So there's 3 paintings in that course, and you'll get to learn lots of very cool techniques in that one. So I'll put a link to it in the doobly-doo down below. One of the other things that we do in that class is thumbnail studies. So yeah, I believe in thumbnail studies. Always have, always will. Anyway, moving back to adding some sculptural depth into the flower, I'm using just a kind of a leftover mix of what was in my palette, a little bit more of the Prussian Blue mixed with Verditer, so that I kind of carry all of those colors back through, and using a towel, little paper towel in my hand to sop up any excess, because my brush gets very wet, and this one will just keep pouring out the water if I don't control it. So you'll see my hand occasionally just sucking some moisture out of the brush. And then for this flower on the bottom, I decided to add in just a little extra purple so that it will feel definitely shaded compared to the other one. And just playing around back and forth between the different colors to create some bigger blossoms. This one is going to be a closer bloom, so the flowers themselves will be a little bit larger. And then we're going to get on to a little bit of final detail work after this part's done. It was really amazing to me that this did come through as quickly as it did, because this was about the moment I was like, oh my goodness, am I about done with this? And then I decided, okay, I'm going to add a little bit more into the flower. Might have been able to do without these extra petals, maybe. I'm the overdoer in a lot of my paintings. As soon as I start thinking, okay, I think it's about done, that's usually when I should just take a deep breath and walk away, and then come back later and see if I really needed anything else. And it's not that these little brush strokes didn't help, but I just don't know how much they've added to it. But it was, like a moment of danger. And you always come across these when you're painting, that you could take something too far. And I was really just like, okay, stop, telling myself, stop, don't do any more. But I did decide to do the background portion, that this might save your bacon if you end up in trouble. If your background doesn't work out perfectly, like mine is not perfectly smooth. I do not seem to be humanly capable of making a background with an absolutely perfect background when it's got multiple colors in it. I can do a single wash, but if I start mixing colors, letting the colors work on the paper together, I am just not good at that. That is just not my jam. So here I'm using a thin wash of the same colors, and you may have to, test out what level of thin means for your particular painting. and all of that color is going to melt back into the paper. Now, it did it a little differently on this paper, and I didn't like that all that much, but it did kind of work because you still get a little bit of that distance in the background, all the little branches and stuff. If you'd like to paint this hydrangea, the photo's on my Substack, and you can grab that for free and go paint it up. Let me know what you do with it. And the Escoda brush is about $100, and it performs like a $300 brush. And I have some $300 brushes, so I can recommend it. Not a fan of the Bauhong paper, not just because of the glue, just performance of it. Some of the colors just kind of sit weirdly on the paper. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but I'm happy with the painting. And Mom, if you're watching from heaven, this one is for you. If you'd like to see a review of all of my paintings, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because on the 31st, I'll post a recap of all 31. And yeah, that's about it. Links to everything are in the doobly-doo. I will see you again on Saturday for the big celebration. Yes, there's a party coming to the channel. I'll see you then. Bye.